The Spear family is getting their portrait done, so of course Richard wants to model American Gothic.
Argo Font Book Review, Argo Font Book Review.
This book was written by Jonna Beecham and Malcolm Hill Gardner. Don's brother Jeff is visiting for a week. Things start off well as everyone has lots of fun and they all watch a cheesy movie together. But then Richard ruins everything when he asks Jeff to clean his dishes after breakfast. Clean plates? What madness is this? Jeff is a total jerk about it because he's used to having his housekeeper clean up after him. Then Jeff gets sad when his friends are too busy to play with him. Richard tries cheering Jeff up with an art museum trip. Let's see American Gothic together, and they play catch. Only Richard doesn't know how to throw a baseball, and he falls over while trying to catch one. It's kind of hilarious how uncoordinated he is. He should get baseball lessons from Christy. In the subplot, Mrs. Barrett is dating the rich Franklin DeWitt. He personally knows the owner of the most expensive restaurant in town. Nice. Mrs. Barrett dresses up fancy and tries to make her house clean for her new boyfriend. That is perfectly normal behavior, but the babysitters complain that it's bad. Mrs. Barrett is trying to keep her house clean? What a faker! Quit pretending you're something you're not, Mrs. Barrett. So, once again, the babysitters are bad-mouthing a client for no reason at all. I find this especially annoying because the babysitters normally complain that Mrs. Barrett is a disaster mom with a filthy house. So they complain when her house is messy, and they complain when her house is clean. Continuity! Franklin has 4 kids of his own. They schedule a picnic so the kids can meet each other.
All of this was interesting. Very interesting indeed.
Nice try, Dawn, but you can't convince me to be interested in a recap chapter. The picnic is a disaster. The kids complain constantly, the car gets a flat tire, they show up at the wrong time, all the tables are taken, animals eat their food, the baby throws up, and the date ends with Mrs. Barrett crying in the car by herself. But it's not all bad. We learn Mrs. Barrett's first name is Natalie. Natalie Barrett? I didn't know that. That's almost as much fun as Deep Hike. Obviously, this is a mirror storyline. Dawn's stepfamily starts fighting, just like the Barretts. Marianne complains Jeff is messy, Dawn calls Richard a dork, Marianne cries, Dawn hides in her room, and so on. The family is going to Boston for the weekend. Richard wakes everyone up at 5 a.m. so they can get there by noon. Connecticut is not 7 hours away from Boston, Richard. Calm down. Dawn, Jeff, and Marianne fight on the car ride, and Marianne refuses to share a hotel room with them. They go on a tour of Boston, and Richard lectures everyone on all the things they see. Marianne is snotty when none of the others know who Oliver Wendell Holmes is. How stupid are you? Then she looks dumb when she doesn't know what the Boston Tea Party is. You honestly never heard of that even after reading guidebooks about Boston? How stupid are you, Marianne? Jeff starts acting like a brat and complains about every single plan the adults come up with. The family is forced to split up into separate groups just to keep Jeff happy. Or at least to stop him from complaining. Okay, to keep him from complaining as much. He still complains a lot. Eventually, the parents get fed up with the situation and they force the kids to spend time together. They almost have fun when they go on a geographically inaccurate tour of the city, but things are ruined when they get into the car and fight over who sits where. Shannon and Claudia babysit the Barretts and the DeWitts. They purposely make the kids play games that require a large number of players. The kids are forced to get along in order to play, and they realize they like each other after all. We finish with the Spears taking their family portrait. They fight over what they should wear, the location of the portrait, and Marianne's cat. The photographer shows them an awful picture, which is on the cover of the book. It's so bad, they all start laughing at it. Everyone apologizes to each other, and they save a copy of the bad picture to remind them to never let their family go out of control again. The end. Post-book follow-up. Is it just me, or have there been a lot of Dawn fights with Marianne books? Not just the two-parter, but more recently Dawn's big date and Marianne's makeover. For best friend sisters, they sure fight a lot. The book does a good job with making the fights realistic, and it allows you to understand where all the different characters are coming from. You can sympathize with everyone! Except Sharon! Yeah, we don't really know why she's so angry. I didn't find the fights entertaining. They were a little painful to get through, especially since the subplot was also non-stop fighting. I honestly needed a break from all the fighting. Dawn writes postcards to her friends in this book. This is dumb, because it's a 2-day trip. Dawn gets back home long before the postcards arrive. In general, I dislike the postcards and club notebook entries, because half the time they're a pointless excuse for filling up pages with giant handwriting. In this case, the postcards are extreme filler. Dawn writes 11 postcards in 4 chapters. Dawn, stop! 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 Overall, it's not a bad book. It's just a little derivative. We've had step-family drama before. We've had Dawn Marianne fights before. We've had lots of kids fighting before. The Barrett subplot was interesting, and it's always nice to see Jeff. I'm giving this book the average score. I give Babysitter's Club number 64, Dawn's Family Feud, a 5 out of 10.